This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
Jagshemash! My name is Borat!
This is Borat, probably the most controversial movie made in the 21st century, but at the same time, it's also considered one of the best comedies.
He is my neighbor, Nursultan Tuliakbay. He is paying my assholes.
This man mastered the prank far before YouTube pranks became popular, because what makes Borat so unique is that it features real people who have no idea he is playing a character. He goes extremely far with his humor, often violating social boundaries and taboos.
Over here, our town of kindergarten.
But his jokes went so far that it resulted in tons of lawsuits and the movie getting banned in Kazakhstan.
Great success.
Borat took satire to a whole new level, so I'm gonna show you why there will never be another movie like Borat.
This is my house. Entry, please.
But first, we need to get a better understanding of the man behind Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen.
What is the most popular thing in the world?
Music.
No.
Tell me.
Ice cream.
Okay.
Sacha Baron Cohen is a British comedian known for his absurd satirical characters. He rose to fame with the character of Ali G, a British roadman interviewing people such as David Beckham, Kobe Bryant and Donald Trump. He later played a whole range of other characters, most famously a flamboyant Austrian fashionista named Bruno, the Kazakh journalist Borat, and General Aladdin in The Dictator. Not to mention his most underappreciated role,
King Julian in Madagascar. I like to move it, move it.
By the way, he was also set to play Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Frederick Mercury? We like him very much in Kazakhstan. He is a ladies' man.
But he dropped out after disagreements with the band. His characters became famous for asking the most outrageous questions to people who were not aware they have been set up.
Are you allowed to date other members of the team, or do you have to wait till the season is over?
What? You want to drink?
You can't drink there while you're driving. It's
Why not?
It's against the law.
What?
Off camera, however, Cohen is a very well-spoken man with a degree in history, and rarely appears as his real self, often going to talk shows and public gatherings to pull off pranks.
Have fun this evening.
This man literally knows no shame. In 2018, he managed to get an actual US state representative to do this.
Go, 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 go!
USA! USA, motherfucker!
Cohen's pranks have often pushed one to many boundaries, and though he has earned a lot of praise during his career, he has also built a track record of lawsuits and getting into trouble. And with Borat, let's just say things became a bit more than just a prank.
I mean, at the moment, I think I have the Guinness World Record for the most sued actor in history.
Not in the room yet, sir. Hold on.
This is not my room?
This is the elevator. It takes you to the floor where your room is.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. King in the castle, king in the castle. Have a chair, I have a chair.
Borat is a journalist from Kazakhstan who travels to the United States in order to learn about the culture. On the surface, he's just acting like a fool to get reactions out of Americans. By appearing himself as this dumb interviewer and explicitly not American, people are willing to buy that he's just from a different culture.
That suit is black. Not.
This suit is not black.
No.
He often makes people cringe with his awkward behavior, and the language barrier creates some genius interactions.
What do you do?
I have spent years in construction. I recently retired.
You are retired?
Yes.
Unlike hidden camera shows, Borat pranks his characters in plain sight, because people don't realize they're playing in a comedy. Instead, they were told it's for an official documentary from Kazakh television, making all of the interactions real.
What type of dog is this?
This is a tortoise.
Is this a cat in a hat?
A central theme in the movie is the cultural difference between the supposedly underdeveloped Kazakhstan and America.
USA, greatest country in the world.
And Borat is simply trying to adapt.
You look like Michael Jackson beat it. Man, you better get to... Can you teach me how to dress? How can I be like you? What's up with that vanilla face?
Throughout the movie, Borat says the most politically incorrect and racist stuff you can imagine as if it's nothing, and he makes people believe the craziest things, often making you wonder how on earth he got away with making this movie. But just referring to what he does as pranking is a bit reductive, because it goes much deeper than that. By being himself outrageous, he puts up a mirror, because it quickly shows just how ridiculous of a country America is sometimes guilty of being. And so the goal of Borat was not only to make fun of people, but also to be a social commentary, a satire. to use humor, irony, exaggeration or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. Well, at least, that was the goal. The movie became a great success, turning Borat into an international star and a highly quotable fixture of pop culture, precisely because of its black humor and risky pranks. But these jokes didn't land well with everyone. Borat's success got Cohen and the producers in tons of legal trouble and controversies. Multiple people who appear in the film have filed lawsuits for being misled and exploited. Most notably the villagers of Borat's fictional hometown, who sued Cohen for $30 million in damages. These scenes were not shot in Kazakhstan but in a small village in Romania named Glad, whose villagers were living in poverty and were being depicted as these barbaric people. But because they didn't understand English, they didn't know what was being said about them.
A sound mechanic and a versionist.
The people from the village felt betrayed, and some were so angry that they wanted to kill Borat. But the real Kazakhstan wasn't too happy about Borat either. In 2006, the Kazakh government banned Borat because the movie depicts Kazakhstan as this backwards country full of misogynists and anti-Semitics. When Cohen hosted the MTV Awards as Borat, this is what happened.
I pretended that their Prime Minister, Premier Nazarbayev, came on, and I got on my knees and I kissed his and they got so angry that their Prime Minister, Premier Nazarbayev, actually flew to Washington to complain to the American president. So I thought, bugger this, I'm going to Washington. I would like to make a comment about my nation of Kazakhstan.
But why did Cohen choose Kazakhstan? He told the New York Times, "The Kazakhstan in the film has nothing to do with the real country. I chose Kazakhstan because it was a place that almost nobody in the US knew anything about, which allowed us to create a wild, comedic, fake world." And it's exactly this ignorance and prejudice about foreigners that Cohen is trying to expose.
Shave that dadgum mustache off so you're not so conspicuous. So you look like maybe an Italian. And I think there's a dadgum Muslim. I wonder what kind of bomb he's got strapped to him.
People really let down their guard with Borat because they're in a room with somebody who seems to have these outrageous opinions. They sometimes feel much more relaxed about letting their own outrageous, politically incorrect opinions come out.
This was also the case with these fraternity boys who tried to sue Cohen and his team for getting them drunk and tricking them into making racist statements.
Are women your slaves in Russia?
No. Do you have slaves here?
No slaves.
We wish. It is a shame.
And Borat. Big shame.
In total, Borat accounted for at least 7 lawsuits, placing it among the most sued movies ever. During production, the police was called 92 times, and according to Cohen, even the FBI was informed.
They had so many complaints that there was a Middle Eastern man driving through America in an ice cream van that the FBI assigned the team to us.
Sasha was not a US citizen at the time, so he had to often hide himself because he didn't want to get sent back to London. He was able to stay undercover for 1.5 years in the US.
It would take about 6 months afterwards for me not to totally freak out whenever I saw a policeman.
But isn't Cohen taking comedy too far? Because even though Borat is a satire, the biggest criticism is that he went beyond any moral and ethical standards by portraying Kazakh people as misogynistic, barbarous, and anti-Semitic. And so the question is, where do you draw the line?
I was blamed for Kazakhstan's failure and banned from ever make reportings again. I was publicly humiliated.
Borat's success was both a gift and a curse. It caused Cohen to be spotted in public no matter what character he played, making it harder and harder to make such a film again. He said, "I realized that if I became famous myself, it would make my work almost impossible."
I was scared of becoming famous. For a few years, no one actually knew what I looked like. So basically, I was able to have the success without any of the, can I call it hassle?
After Borat grossed over $250 million back in 2006, Sacha Baron Cohen saw a decline in the performance of every film afterwards. The Dictator did $180 million, Bruno did $140 million, but by 2016 Grimsby lost $7 million and critics were stating that Baron Cohen is a one-trick pony. In 2016, Cohen said that Hollywood would be too scared to make Borat today, explaining that the incredibly crude humor which made the movie so successful was better suited to when the film was first released. Between 2006 and 2020, he took long breaks from acting and played characters with heavy makeup in order to be less recognizable. But after a 14-year hiatus, Borat came back with the movie Borat's subsequent movie film delivery of prodigious bribe to make American great benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan, which was purchased by Amazon for a whopping $80 million.
People make recognize my face. I would need disguises.
And as if the controversy wasn't enough, this time Cohen decided to go all out. We see him return to the US with his daughter Tutar to take on the Rona anti-maskers, conspiracy theorists and Trump supporters. Even going so far to exposing US politicians who were trying to get an affair with his daughter. As Cohen said, you don't just want to interview some doorman at a hotel, you want to interview the incredibly wealthy guests at a penthouse, high-ranking politicians or people who are threatening. The problem is, it is definitely challenging, especially now with Twitter and Facebook. It's very, very hard to get away with. This meant that everything had to be done in complete secrecy.
How could I make another undercover movie? The way to do it was Borat goes in disguise. Found that after doing a lot of tests, if I was ginger, people were less likely to realize that it was me.
But it was also for this movie that Cohen really went too far, even putting his own safety in danger. At one point he had to fear for his life at a gun rights rally.
If it feels like it's going to get violent, then you can't, the worst thing you can do is crack and then realize that you're playing a character. So you don't go, hey, I just want to mock you and expose your racism. Then you're really in trouble.
By not breaking character, he is able to get away with it most of the time. But if he does, things can get really dangerous.
It happens occasionally. I mean, this was the first movie where I've had to wear a bulletproof vest.
Take them to your hand flow. What are we gonna do with the radical leftists? We're gonna chop them up like the Saudis do?
Are we locked?
The doors are locked?
You hold it. Right. Drive. Go. One of the guys who stormed the stage went for his pistol. There was a very brave guard who actually grabbed his hand and leaned in and said, "It's not worth it, buddy."
Cohen also famously exposed Donald Trump's attorney and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was being filmed putting his hands down his pants while alone in a hotel room with Borat's daughter.
Naughty, naughty.
Giuliani sued Cohen for $95 million, but Cohen recently won the lawsuit. After years of doing such controversial stunts, Cohen has not lost a single lawsuit. Many of the cases were either won by Cohen or thrown out, such as the one for the Village of Glad. Of course, Cohen has his paperwork right and knows what he is doing, but another big reason is that despite his pranks, he is being taken seriously. Borat has become a form of cultural activism, and because Sacha Baron Cohen is Jewish himself, he is using comedy and satire to expose people's prejudices about these minorities and other cultures, revealing both the worst but also the best in people. For Borat 2, he raised $150,000 to help genuine people who have become victim of his pranks, and donated another $100,000 to the church. As one entertainment lawyer said, "The truth is, if he's been sued that many times and won, that means someone is getting something right." The second Borat movie was nominated for an Oscar and became the longest movie name ever to be nominated. After being chased, nearly arrested multiple times, followed by the FBI and sued during his filmmaking process, the question remains, is it still worth it? Sacha Baron Cohen stated that he has permanently retired from playing Borat because eventually his luck will run out.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm traumatized, but I definitely don't want to go out and shoot another one of these movies ever again. They're too hard, as you can see.
It's worth a word just to say how brave Cohen is, because not many comedians are interested in attacking the most painful issues of our society. Borat kinda led his career into a downward spiral, and Hollywood rarely casts him anymore because of his immediate association with Borat, and I think there are very few comedians who could play the parts he does with a straight face or without losing their nerve.
You killed it, man.
Can I ask
Amazing. I love that movie so much, and I love you. I love your approach to uncomfortable people and subjects. You just lay bare the people who are supposed to be in control and aren't, and I love it.
Borat's success has shown that the population is hungry for a more liberated and surprisingly more meaningful humor than offered by the politically correct mainstream media. And so with Borat, Cohen has proven that comedy can be the most dangerous, but also be the purest form of truth.
It's why
why fake news outperforms real news, because studies show that lies spread faster than truth.
But in the case of Borat, many people are often collateral damages of his jokes, and perhaps he is even adding fuel to the fire sometimes. Kazakhstan will inevitably be linked to Borat, but they recently decided to embrace this and turn it into something positive. Kazakhstan launched a tourism campaign centered around Borat's very nice catchphrase to showcase the beauty of the country. By making Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen used caricatures and lies as a vehicle to reveal something that is far more dangerous and often forgotten about in our society: telling the truth.
When I was in that scene and I stared down and saw your 2 wrinkled Golden Globes on my chin, I thought to myself, I'd better win a bloody award for this.
While some might remain angry about Borat, others might look at it and smile, realizing that the satire is aimed at themselves, and that most of us, if we want it or not, are a bit biased and have our own prejudices. That's why Sacha Baron Cohen is an example that it takes a true genius to play a believable fool. But before we sign off, there's one more thing left to do.
Welcome back in my town of Kusek. Since I returned, there have been much improvements.
If you want to have better Wi-Fi and access to more shows than your neighbors, I highly recommend using Surfshark.
You cannot afford. Great success.
With Surfshark, you can travel the world with just one click. If you live in Kazakhstan, it lets you connect to the USA, so you can access more movies and shows than at home.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And when you're traveling, connect back to your home country and don't miss out on the comforts of home. Just turn on Surfshark VPN and say goodbye to government restrictions.
High five!
Now you can watch Borat in Kazakhstan and even in the Middle East.
Naughty, naughty.
With just one account, you can use an unlimited number of devices, and if you're not satisfied within 30 days, you get your money back. And because it's almost Black Friday, you can use the code DOCINEMA to get up to 6 months for free. So try Surfshark today.
I'll make that deal. How about you, Yudovich? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.